All right, welcome back. You are watching Weekend Edition and it's time for her say. Now our guest tonight is Ndenya Macharia, the first female board chair of Youth for Christ International in 80 years. Youth for Christ, well, it is a worldwide Christian movement entrusted with a global vision and mission of youth evangelism, discipleship, social involvement, and leadership development. That's a lot. Now, Ndenya is also a certified image master where she coaches leaders to craft their personal and business brands, ensuring they leave a lasting legacy. She will be telling us that later on, of course, in our conversation. But karibu sana to our studios, Ndenya.
Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here on Her Say.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that you have an opportunity for women to have a voice. And so thank you for having me.
So tonight it's your say, Ndenya, your say.
Yes.
Tell us about who is Ndenya really, aside from what I've just told our viewers. How would you describe yourself, Ndenya?
And you've told them a lot.
Yeah.
So what's left is, Ndenya is a very driven, passionate person. If the people who know me as a very passionate person. So whatever it is I put my hand to, I will look for how to get to be the best in what that is.
Yeah.
I am also the other day I had loved and loving partner, and I have two amazing boys that I could take a bullet for. So beyond the things that I do have a good support system that makes up who I am.
Now, being the first female Kenyan to become the chairperson of Youth for Christ, that is in 80 years, it is very much inspirational and trailblazing. Now, did the young Ndenya from wherever you're going to tell us, from whichever village, or maybe you grew up in town, did envision this for herself?
Actually, no. The answer to that question is no. And I will say that I am the first chair since the organization began.
Right.
So that's the span of it. But my history and background, I grew up in a family of faith. My parents loved God. My mom was an evangelist. We were musicians as a family. And when I was younger, my siblings made me attend YFC events. Then after what you say, high school, we had a gap year. And part of that was spending time singing and dancing with a program that Youth for Christ had called Action Group. And this we're talking about many, many years ago. And at that time, it was the love for singing, love for using my gifts and talents to share with the world that was the passion at the time. I then joined a band. So I'm a musician. I joined a band and we sang across the US for 2 years. So I had two different bands, and in that 2 years we sang, shared the gospel, and did evangelism. At that point, if you asked me, I didn't even know anything about the global movement. All we knew is that we were a singing group from Kenya. We were going out there to showcase our talent and then share the gospel, as well as tell people about what the projects were in Africa. So fast forward to many years later, I went into the event space, worked there for 15 years. After that, I saw a gap with image consulting. And people didn't know how to dress, didn't know how to use a fork and knife, didn't know how to give speeches. And I was like, let me use my communication gift to help empower people. So I studied to become an image consultant. I am the first image master in East and Central Africa, I should add that. And so I began to do that. And in doing that, I was invited to an event for women that was a YFC event. And at that time, I met the then international president, who was like, we need more women on the board, and I think you'd make a great candidate. That was what launched me into the position of being a board member. And then now, fast forward 8 years later, I serve as the chair of the board.
You really are many things, clear definition or whatever. I put my hands to prosper. Would you agree?
And I'd say by the grace of God, I think we oftentimes ignore the fact that God's hand is guiding our lives. So I like to use the proverbial Esther story in the Bible, where Esther was a young orphan girl who decided, you know what, her uncle was like, there's a competition, you should join. And then she finds herself in this competition, wins this competition. She's a queen in the palace, and then she has a big task to save the Jews. So I see myself in that, where how it started, vitu kwa ground, and then how it ends is a God story. Yeah.
Now, you see, when we talk about the Youth for Christ International, now somebody at home maybe is hearing about this for the very first time. Yeah. Tell us about this. How did it come up? How is it doing in the Kenyan space? Because I understand we also have this organization right here in the country. So tell us about it.
So Youth for Christ started in the 1940s. And some of the key figures that people know about would be like Billy Graham. Billy Graham was our first staff at Youth for Christ. We are now in 120 nations. We have over 60,000 volunteers and staff globally. And our movement has the youth at heart. So we do evangelism, but in today's world, you want to do it in a way that appeals to the young people. But remember, I was a youth, 20-something plus. No, I was a youth yesterday, and then now we are youth. So the youth have different challenges, and we're at finding different ways to share the love of Jesus to the space and in the world that they're in. And so in Kenya, we've had a vibrant chapter in Kenya. Actually, when the announcement went out, I had people writing to me saying, I'm an alumni of Youth for Christ. So we've had people who've passed through our hands and have become great, amazing people in the society. Right now, we have a program that takes care of teen pregnant moms. So we have a safe house for that. And our big movement has to do with crisis pregnancy. And I think that's a big challenge in our nation, where I think over COVID, that grew and became almost, we could call it even a pandemic on its own. That young girls are not given the right information about sexuality and sex, and as a result, we have teen moms who girls get pregnant and don't know what to do. For them, it's a crisis, and we're offering support, counsel. We're offering a place that they can come, deliver their babies safely, and hopefully get back to be reconciled with their families. That's one of the projects that we have. And then we also have a project in the slums where we teach young people tech skills. The world today cannot operate. The two of us have our devices over here waiting to mutandao while we're at it. And so we are teaching them tech skills, hoping that those become skills that they can use to better their lives. And then we have high school ministries. So we go around the country sharing in skits, dramas, songs, dance, and giving young people hope. I think one of the big things that is needed in our society is hope, is the fact that you can be anything that you desire to become. All you need to do is focus, put your energy, and no matter what your challenge in life is, no matter what your background is, that the love of Jesus gives us hope, that we can become everything that God said we can become, and that we can use our gifts and talents to empower other people. So going a little further, the young people are faced with many challenges, and we are offering solutions that help to bridge some of those challenges.
I understand that you've said a lot, but let me just...
I say a lot. You can stop me by there. I can pause.
I love it. So you've also mentioned that in your program at YFC
so we have a national
Kenya,
program in Kenya, yes.
You are doing this in a way that is pleasing and will also bring the youth closer. I understand that we are in a generation where now the youth have come out to speak so loudly about Christ. What are you really just putting in place to ensure that they are free to come to Christ, that they are enjoying these conversations, that they're not feeling that they are, something is holding them back?
Or that they're missing out.
Yes.
I think that's really part of the challenges. And like I said, the world today is not like it was years back. You know, a lot of engagement happens on social media. And one of the things that we want to do and are doing is engaging young people on the social platforms, where we provide opportunities for them to have free conversations about the challenges that they go through. So Christian or not, the challenges are the same. And we want the young people to know that. So on one hand, there is hope. On the second hand, there's stuff that you can do as a person. There's a lifestyle that you can choose that gives you good consequences, that gives you a future and a hope. So for us, we are providing platforms of engagement. Like I said, in the high schools, we have after high school programs, and that's just in Kenya. And so one of the things I should say is that when I serve on the as the chair, that I serve for the global movement. And so part of the things I can share is also what we're doing around the world. I'll give examples of places like Singapore, where we have escape rooms for young people to just go and engage with the gospel using technology. In some of the other places, we have, like in Jamaica, for example, we have a fully fledged, they produce music that goes around globally, they do movies, so we're reaching young people in the languages or in the way that they understand. We have a lady coming from the Netherlands who is bringing a program called Superwoman. And the aim is to empower young girls to be, that they can be anything that they want to be. And that they were created, the female expression of who God is, and they have a purpose and a plan. So around the world, we have answer solutions. Some of them we can contextualize for the Kenyan context, and others are yet to become are yet to become more vibrant. So I will say that Youth for Christ was a lot more vibrant in our younger days, but we are in the space of saying that we are back, and we have a young face to go with the new look, and that the best is yet to come, that the glory of the latter house will be greater. So we are preparing ourselves for the great harvest of souls and for revival.
Right, you've also told us about how you take in teen moms and help them go through whatever they're going through. But we also understand that when we're talking about Christ, there is also condemnation among those that maybe give birth early, teen moms, outside marriage. So how are you bringing these teen moms close and letting them know that they're not missing out, they've not lost anything despite now being in this journey of motherhood?
So I think the big challenge has been around our conversations, even in the church, with regard to when people fall. And we've made it seem like some sins are bigger than others, especially if they're visible. And what we're saying to the young girls is that, one, it's not the end. Because I'm not sure you know the journey of a young girl who is pregnant at a young age. And some of them not by choice. Some of them through really harrowing experiences like rape and other tragic experiences. And so for me, it's that we are saying to these young girls that there is hope, that God loves you, and the love of God, you keeping your baby, God has a perfect plan for you and for that child. We hear of many amazing stories of around the world of people who it was a phone call that saved their mom from having an abortion or from dealing differently, even losing their lives, and now those children become great people in society. So what we are offering is the love of Christ and hope, and part of the reconciliation with the families is sharing that girls can actually, that there can be a turnaround. So we've had girls go back to school and get certifications, get degrees, have gainful living. Some of them are taught life skills and skills like that they can use to earn gainful living to make them better people in society.
Now, becoming the first ever female chairperson of this organization, ever. What does this milestone mean for you and the organization, Danya?
First of all, it's very humbling. It's a very humbling experience to be entrusted with the governance of a movement such as ours. And so it's one of those things you're like, okay, God, thank you. And then you take the lead. So it's God's victory and what is the direction. And so for me, the first thought is, okay, God, I'm so humbled that you chose me. And first, the encouragement to other people watching who are like, can God choose me? So he can, he will, and he has a good plan. And that plan does include going out to the nations. Now, for the movement, it is a fresh start. I want to say I'm the 8th chair, so new beginnings. And there's a different way that we can lead as women, that we offer the female expression of who God is, that we bring the softer side. Sometimes the other side may want to do things a little harder, while for us, bringing the motherly, the love, the the softer side of doing things, that we don't have to fight through certain situations, that we can love each other or talk through certain situations to bring the change that is needed. I think that's one of the things that comes to the table. I'm not just the first female, but I am the first African.
Right.
And so it's a wonderful, it signals a great opportunity for the continent of Africa with our different way that we do things. So we're bringing with my image world, it's a cultural experience that we view things very differently. We have a culture of honor, we have a culture of the identity of who we are on an international platform says a lot, that we have a lot to offer. Right. Even how we do things spiritually, from how we pray, how we engage, how we push in the spirit for certain things to happen. So it is the start of something great, and it is also a heralding of the amazing things that God has in store for the movement and for the world.
All right. Now, where do you draw your inspiration from?
Very good question. A lot of places, and the first place that I draw my inspiration from is I love the stories of the Bible. I think that Bible has everything, the drama, all the different things.
Right.
And so I do enjoy reading the Bible and seeing the stories from our modern day perspective. I also do like to read a lot, and I also like to read stories of legacy. So a big part of what I like to do is people who've been there, done that, done great things. So stories of people like Wangari Maathai are stories that I read, and I'm like, you know, the hummingbird story, for quotable quotes, people who are passionate about what they believed in and, you know, fought through whatever the challenges were and were able to come up with good outcomes. I like history, and I like good stories, and I like legacy, that you can leave a mark where long after you're gone, people will talk about the difference and the impact that you made.
You've said you love to read the Bible. So funny enough, today I was scrolling through social media and I saw a certain comment, and the lady was saying, I am too lazy to pray, too lazy to read my Bible. You love reading your Bible. Where does she start from?
First of all, I'll say sometimes the gift of reading may not be for everybody, but there's an audio version of the sight and sound in today's world. You go on YouTube, there will probably be people who've done the stories in video format. Because for us, sometimes maybe the reading may be tiring. If you're like me and it'll probably take you a longer time to read.
Right.
So you can listen. There are, the Bible Experience is available in audio format, in video format. I've met with people now who are doing a Sheng version. So in a way that maybe as she's doing other activities, she can begin to listen. Because for me, the entrance of the word brings light, and light then dispels whatever darkness you're going through.
So then you're also being a certified image master. Do you still actively practice this now that you are in such a position that really, I understand it takes a lot of your time as well. So would you say that you actively also partake in image shaping?
I do, and I do bring that to the Youth for Christ space, because for a long time we were not very, so I'll say that the image space has to do with communication. We have three parts: appearance, behavior, and communication, which would be your visual communication, your verbal, and your non-verbal. And that's something that I bring to the international platform as well. And when it comes to the local, I say women have the ability to multitask and do amazing in all the different tasks that they set out to. So I still teach, train corporates, and I do work with high net worth individuals to help them bring out the best version of themselves. Right now we are working on people's personal brands so that they can also be able to compete on the global platform. And that's something that I do actively, and I absolutely love to see people transform, or brands transform and get to the place where they're on a global stage, competing with international brands and doing even better.
Now, you also said when we were starting, you told us you're a very proud partner and you have two amazing boys.
I should say I am happily married. My husband will be looking at saying, partner, I'm happy.
All right. So just tell us, how do you handle all these things? Being a mother and also just a mom, while also handling this top position then as we close?
It's challenging, and I should say that. I should say that we make it look wonderful on Mutanda, on these streets, but I've left my kids saying, Mami, unaenda wapi? hug. So it is challenging, but I do feel that if you structure your life well and you find good support, one of the things I do have is a good support system. My family, my house manager, I have a good support team. I have a staff and team members. Actually, my team members do a lot more behind the scenes to make me look all glossy and glamorous. So I will say finding good support is useful and can get you to places that you never dreamed of.
All right, now then we are closing. Okay. In just 1 minute, any word of encouragement to somebody just looking at you right now and is saying, wow, such an inspirational lady right there.
What would be my one word? I'd say, if you look good, you'll feel good. If you feel good, you do good. And if you do good, there's nothing you cannot change, not even the world. And if you put your trust and hope in God, God will do supernatural things through your life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ndhenye Macharia, for making time for us here at TV47. We are grateful to have you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that brings us to the end of Her Say Tonight.